Some figures suggest that over 56% of hospitality professionals anticipate that automation will be extremely important in the near future. Being among the most affected throughout the countless lockdowns, restaurants and the hospitality industry at large need to make use of technology in order to meet customer demands. Is South Africa's hospitality industry innovating enough to meet the economic targets that it desires? Well, Reginald Sibeko, Managing Director of Micro South Africa, joins us to possibly answer that question. Thank you very much for availing yourself this morning. When we speak of automation, what are we talking about, and is this the solution?
When we speak, thank you for having me, by the way. Much appreciate the opportunity to engage your audience. When we speak automation in the hospitality industry, and we have seen this in the last so let's say 3 years, accelerated by the COVID pandemic, the need for the hospitality industry to engage consumers in a different way. And that is necessitated by situations such as consumer behavior has completely changed. Most of individuals now purchase goods through online engagements, and also what you've seen even in restaurants, for example, we've seen a sharp increase in drive-through orders, for example, instead of people walking into the restaurants. So the hospitality industry has had to relook at itself and say, how do we then reconfigure ourselves to adjust to the new normal of how people and how consumers are behaving going forward?
And what does that look like in South Africa? So if you want to book accommodation, whether here or anywhere else on the continent, you'd have to go through a particular website, which I am loath to mention. But is there a repository like that is South African-based, that actually grows, or creates employment in the country? So what are we seeing where automation in South Africa is concerned?
So without letting the cat out of the bag, there is something that we'll be launching on Monday at our event that speaks directly to that particular question that you just asked right now. But generally, South Africa doesn't have any channel systems that's channel accommodation. Most of those particular platforms are Western owned. They're not from South Africa. But I think apart from looking at it from just how I book accommodation, it's a bit more than that. It's about the guest experience even when they arrive at an accommodation. How they interact with the property going forward has changed completely. And I've seen this, and I've been traveling for quite some time in the last year or so, wherever I've gone, globally and within South Africa. Consumers and consumers in hotels and in restaurants have all changed, and they don't necessarily want to have guest services that are necessarily human-facing anymore. Everything has to be automated. So, for example, if I were to say to you today, when I walk into some hotels, I should be able to use my mobile phone to open my room. So my mobile phone has to have the ability to be the key card for the room. But apart from that, from my mobile phone, we are now able to control everything that has to happen within the room. For example, control your television set, control the aircon, control the blinds, the opening and shutting of the blinds. Everything that has to do with your guest experience can be controlled from technology going forward.
You speak of guest experience in technology. We have some spaces in the country that are quite nostalgic, which is great, right? And then you have spaces that are automated, but there are other countries that are doing much better than we are. So when we then upgrade to using your phone to open your room, to using a remote to open the blinds, in terms of accessibility, especially maybe for South Africans who also want to see these spaces, right? Because you may not necessarily be able to afford to go to New York or whatever, but you've got it here at home. Just how much more expensive will it then become for someone to access that? Or are we going to be seeing a regulation of prices so that we also encourage travel in South Africa by South Africans?
Yeah, I think price-wise, it's not extremely expensive, to be quite frank. And a lot of these technologies, what we are doing is we are creating a platform where the platform itself has to enable the technology to be built and actually integrated into the platform. So if you think about, for example, in a hotel, we have what we call a property management system, which is what manages the guest. It's the booking system. That's where the guest information sits. Now we build applications that then talk to this particular to the particular PMS application. And those systems, building those systems is not that expensive. I could give you references today. A client of ours who's already built and is fully done, they can control music, they can control everything from their property. If you were to visit today, and maybe, for regulation perspective, I can't mention the name of the customer, but there's a property I can give you. All of this is available, and they can tell you, yes, there's a significant investment that you have to make, but it's not expensive. It's not something that's undoable.
I guess maybe I was just asking on the part of the customer who then has to pay for the hotel fee. But just in terms of building this technology, if we go a step back, do we have enough developers in South Africa? Are we stimulating that?
We definitely do. We definitely do. I think one of the things that we've seen in the last 3 years with COVID, the war for talent is quite extreme, and tech companies all over South Africa are fighting for the same talent. But the talent is there, and we know it's there. Some of the talent has left the country, but it's still there. The skills are within South Africa. So they are in demand, and even within our business, we have these skills. We have the capability within Micro South Africa and Adapt IT. We have the skills available to assist any of our clients who want to build some of these things to ensure that they start getting in line with what the consumer behavior is going forward, because these things are now the future of what's going to be happening in hospitality.
Thank you very much to Reginald Sibeko, Managing Director at Miscos South Africa.